Allow the two
It's okay. It's okay. Off your mind. It's okay. Off your mind.
Chai! Now wow, people wey suppose talk truth to power don off mic. And if we talk, now 500,000 they go sama us, call am hate speech. But fear not, my ego don't come. Him go torchlight every corner, nooks and cranny of all these bad people where they spoil our country. So my people make we laugh, oh yo yo. My ego don't come, oh yo yo. My people make we shout, oh yo yo. My ego don't come, oh yo yo. My ego don't come, man of the masses, oh yo yo. My ego don't come, oh yo yo. My ego diary politico, oh yo yo. My ego don't come, oh yo yo. This one not the off in mind, oh yo yo. My ego don't come, oh yo yo. Can in the touchlight every corner, oh yo yo. My ego don't come, oh yo yo. Okay, some people be they holla say they want the power. Chai, them be promise us say we go get light and power. Nah. Them hustle sote they can't get the power. But now they know they do anything with the power. Sure. Every day, dollar just they get the higher power over naira. Still them talk say make we off mind. But thank God say my ego don't come. So my people make you laugh, oh yo yo. My ego don't come, oh yo yo. My people make we shout, oh yo yo. My ego don't come, oh yo yo. My ego don't come, man of the masses, oh yo yo. My ego don't come, oh yo yo. My ego diary politico, oh yo yo. My ego don't come, oh yo yo. This one not they off in mind, oh yo yo. My ego don't come, oh yo yo. Person where they do evil, no one make person talk. Them say that my egun, that man too they talk. He too they talk. Say my egun diary, he they hot like pepper. But every day then they take money in bulk. Poor man picking, they the street they hawk. Still them talk say make we no talk. But thank God say my egun don't come. So my people make you laugh, oh yo yo. My egun don't come, oh yo yo. My people make you shout, oh yo yo. My egun don't come, oh yo yo. Mayegun làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ tó dòdòdò. Mayegun diary Nayibi number one. Mayegun làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ tó dòdòdò. Mayegun diary Nayibi number one. Mayegun ti dé o ọ̀rẹ́ ará ìlú. Mayegun diary Nayibi number one. Lórí Facebook lórí YouTube. Mayegun diary Nayibi number one. Gbogbo bó ṣe ń lọ ni Mayegun já wa sí. Mayegun diary Nayibi number one. Àṣírí ọ̀jẹ̀lú kì í bò níbẹ̀ o. Mayegun diary Nayibi number one. Bó bá ṣe eré àní Mayegun máa wí. Mayegun diary Nayibi number one. Ó sì tún ṣe eré wàá gbọ́ níbẹ̀ o. Mayegun diary Nayibi number one. Mayegun diary politico. Mayegun diary Nayibi number one. Godfatherism kò sí lọ́rọ̀ Mayegun. Mayegun diary Nayibi number one. Ẹ farabalẹ̀ sẹ́ o kẹgọ́rọ̀ lẹ́nu o. Mayegun diary Nayibi number one. Àní Mayegun làwa mọ̀ tó dòdòdò. Mayegun diary Nayibi number one. Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Mayegun ti dé. Mayegun ti dé. Ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Mayegun ti dé. Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Mayegun ti dé. Lórí Facebook. Mayegun ti dé. Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Mayegun ti dé. Lórí YouTube. Mayegun ti dé. Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Mayegun ti dé. Bọ́ bàbá gbé wúrẹ́. Mayegun máa wí. ìgbádìyẹ. Máyégún máa wí. Àníyàn sọ́ra yìí. Máyégún ti dé. Bí pẹ̀sìdó bá rúfin o. Máyégún máa wí. Àníyàn sọ́ra yìí. Máyégún ti dé.
Hello there, brethren. So good morning to you, good afternoon to you, and a good evening to you from wherever you are joining us. It is Mayegun live. And thank you so much for joining me. Remember that after reading the caption of the broadcast, read the description of the broadcast as well. Then like it, share it. Invite your friends, invite your not so friendly friends, and tell them to join us. Today. And that's what you have to do before you get so busy in the comment section. It seemed, right, that Tifnumbu's $9 million paid to the lobbyists in America have started work. Or should I say it's been activated indeed. For those who have not really been paying attention to what is going on in Nigeria, especially those of you who have become the victims of media blackouts, which is intentional. The controlled media in Nigeria who remained very much like, compromised. For those of us who have been following, right, we are very much aware of the efforts of the Christian Association or the group of Christians in the Middle Belt part of Nigeria in trying to tell the world what they are suffering in the hands of the Fulani jihadists, and as well as how those in authority continued to shield these terrorists from arrest or prosecution while people are being chased away from their ancestral homes. So when the United States of America's Congress started having interest in this due to other Christian bodies, even in the US itself, right? Pushing for the attention of those in authority in America to please beam your supposed searchlight on what is going on in Nigeria. So the data that is currently being used by the United States government authority in their supposed motivation for why the government of Nigeria will be held responsible for what is really going on in Nigeria, the killings of Christians in Nigeria. This data comes from this world Christian body, right, that collated and said, those who are being persecuted for their beliefs, Christians who are being killed because they are Christians all over the world. Nigeria alone took almost 80% of the total victims in a year. So they rolled it back last 5 years, last 10 years, and the number is staggering. In all of this, there were government officials from the United States who have been very much in touch with the authorities in Nigeria, okay, trying to ask them to act. Donald Trump, during his first term, even challenged openly in the Oval Office, right? He challenged the then president of Nigeria, Buhari, that why are the Christians being killed in Nigeria and you have done nothing? Then Buhari said it was just Fulani, others, and farmers' clashes, something that Americans didn't believe then on, right? So all of these have been happening in the last 10 years. So finally, right, the attention of the US government has finally been drawn to it. Rather than for the Nigerian government to also change tactic and say, you know what, the party is over and the terrorists should be dealt with. They hired a PR company, lobbyist company. Lobbying is, in this sense, right, is actually bribery. So they hired a lobbyist company to help them change the narrative. And this was after months of sending their own hired thugs online and offline to go all over the place to try to change the narrative. Hopefully the American public will grab it and use that against Donald Trump. None of that worked. So until when they said they have paid out $9 million to a PR company in America to help convince lawmakers, bribe them if possible, to change the narrative from Christian genocide to just terrorism, which is easier. Nigeria is bound to get sanctioned, including some government officials in Nigeria are bound to be sanctioned internationally by the United States government, their assets confiscated. So all of these are still what to happen. For now, the opportunity given to Nigeria is to actually do something and deal with the terrorists and be seen to be dealing with them. Not just that. The victims of terrorism in Nigeria, okay, especially the Christians in the middle belt part of that country and others, should be ensured to be returned back to their ancestral lands, homes, rebuilt for them by government. There is nothing like that going on, all right? Or rather, they wanted the narrative to change. So what do you think how do you think it's going to probably be easier? Tinubu's government and this New York Times reporter ignored all of the documented evidence presented before the European Union, European Parliament. Is that what you call it? European Union Parliament in Brussels, right? At the same time, the United States Congress, Committee on Foreign Affairs, or thereabouts, who have taken in eyewitnesses, survivors, victims who have given testimonies of what they experienced. We all watched some of them. They ignored that. Now they are telling us that when Donald Trump finally ordered the airstrikes against the terrorists in Sokoto on the 26th of December 2025, this New York reporter, New York Times reporter, right? Their West African, their African region reporter said, no, Donald Trump bombed the terrorists in Sokoto, relying on the intel of a screwdriver reseller. That's a screwdriver salesman. That's actually how she described him. He said, a screwdriver salesman in Onitsha is the person who gave Donald Trump, the American government, the intel. Like Donald Trump used the intel from this man who continued to write on social media that Christians are being killed in Nigeria. You know what I mean? And is linked to an inter-society organization. They called his name, right? They have his name there. They said his name is Emeka. One Mr. Emeka, Umeagbalasi. Emeka Umeagbalasi, a screwdriver salesman, according to this New York, New York reporter, that is the man who gave Donald Trump the intel used in striking the terrorists in Nigeria. Now, for context, some might be like, so, no, don't say that. Do you know how propaganda builds up? And then the resentment, the hatred, the tribal hatred, as well as the violence that could follow. Do you know how they build up? They build up through articles like this, headlines, narratives like this, because they are always not an end in themselves. They are just a means to an end. So what the terrorists are doing, the Lakurawa terrorists, ISWAP terrorists are doing in Sokoto, right, is not kind of like hidden. The destructions they have brought is not hidden. The US government said, for the time being, the US government commissioned some reconnaissance flights that, according to them, took image pictures of the locations of these terrorists, their movement, and the rest of that for days before they finally went there to strike them. The Nigerian government, Tinubu's government, also came out through their Minister of Foreign Affairs, their Minister of Information, Idris. They came out and said the intel used, including the coordination of striking the terrorists in Sokoto, was given to them. They worked together. In all of this, right, a New York Times reporter is telling us that a screwdriver salesman in Onitsha provided this intel, right? And like I said, it is a mean to an end for those who probably understands how this APC does their things. The Igbos in Nigeria, who have been the easy sort of like a target whenever Nigeria criminals, right, whenever they run into a brick wall and they are looking for somebody to actually blame, or they put it on the Igbos. An Igbo man that complains about the killings in his own place, right? And there is no any American operations slated for the eastern part of Nigeria. Suddenly, is now linked to the airstrike that killed the terrorists in Sokoto. Now, you might say, but that's a good thing. But in the Nigeria context, because right now, we have those terrorist sympathizers who have done so much in the last 6 months alone. They've done so much to try to convince the average gullible Nigerian, right, that killing the terrorists, or Americans getting involved in killing the terrorists that are killing Nigerians, like mercilessly, is actually an affront on the Muslims in Nigeria, which in itself, if people don't try to stop it, can lead to Muslims, Christians, clashes in Nigeria. And we're like, what are you talking about? The terrorists that are killing Nigerians are killing Christians, they are killing Muslims, as you can see, right? And somehow, if you are a Muslim, you should be happy that those who put your own life in danger and the life of others, which you don't support, do not deserve any mercy dealings at all. Why should you get mad that Americans are going to blow up the terrorists that are displacing people and forcing the locals to pay taxes to them? Like, why should you get upset? So now when they bring a narrative that says, and also, by the way, also, just a few days ago, when it came to light, the Nigerian government, the Tinubu's government, is paying $9 million to an American PR lobbyist firm to help them change the narrative of Christian genocide in Nigeria. They said the reason why they spent the money was because this redesignation of Nigeria as a country of particular concern was because the IPOB, they lobbied the American congressmen and pressured them, and in fact, made Donald Trump to redesignate Nigeria. And none of these available reports pointed to that. But yeah, they pushed that so far. Now they are pushing it at the international, kind of like using international platform. And this is one of the reasons why, Donald Trump continued to say, you can't trust the media. Okay, I'm going to share a few things with you. First, there's a man who lost 12 members of his own family, right? His name is Bishop Wilfred Chikpa Anagbe. This bishop was a special guest of the European Parliament, sometimes in November 2025. This is just about 2 months ago in Brussels, where Bishop Anagbe told the Europeans, the European Parliament, right, the genocide going on in Nigeria in detail. He spoke to other bishops, because they are those who have suffered greatly. It is under this ABC that we have seen so many of these bishops or reverend fathers and the rest of them from different parishes in the middle belt part of Nigeria and the heartland of northern Nigeria, who have become victims of kidnappings and beheadings in the hands of these Islamic jihadists. So these people kept pressuring and they kept campaigning for the attention of the world to what is going on in Nigeria, because it's obvious the government of Nigeria, they were in bed with these terrorists. Now, they didn't see that as the reason why United States of America redesignated Nigeria and decided to strike the terrorists in Sokoto. They didn't put that in. I am going to show you. Now, he also went as far as appearing, giving, testimony before the United States of America's Congress on Committee on Foreign Affairs, who actually shown interest in the killings in Benue, in Yewata, in Plateau State, in other areas of northern part of Nigeria. They spoke with the survivors, those who lost countless numbers of their own family members, and those who managed to survive after the entire attacks. And all of this were documented, but New York Times didn't see that. They want us to go to what a man in Onitsha actually said as the intel. So I'm going to start with this. The bishop.
To have the privilege of witnessing, the privilege of experiencing. I'm not talking as a privilege of opinion. Mr. Chairman, ranking members, distinguished members of the subcommittee, thank you for inviting me back to testify on the escalating crisis of Christian persecution and genocide in Nigeria. 6 months ago, precisely on 13th March 2025, when I last appeared before this committee, I warned that the situation was there and demanded urgent attention. Tragically, the past half year has proven those warnings understated the continued attack on vulnerable Christian villages by the Fulani ethnic militia and their counterparts, both in the Middle Belt of Nigeria and elsewhere in the country. Since my testimony in March 2025, credible reports from organizations monitoring religious freedom, including Open Doors and our own Justice, Development and Peace Commission in Makurdi Diocese, have documented continuing attack on Christian villages, especially in the Middle Belt states of Benue and Plateau, perpetrated by the Fulani militia. Thousands more have been displaced, some adopted or subjected, with entire villages razed and churches destroyed. My own village of Aondana in Gwe West local government was attacked and several of my relatives killed on May 22nd, 2025. An entire convent of Reverend Sisters of the Clarisha Missionaries was displaced, along with the local Catholic parish. Within the days following that attack, nearby villages like Naka also witnessed attacks. In fact, on the 24th May 2025, one of my priests, Father Solomon Atongu, was shot and left to die in the pool of his blood, while those traveling with him were adopted. Though he survived the attack, he is unable to walk freely because he has a broken bone. A few weeks before, on Palm Sunday, April 13, 2025, with the attack occurring late that night into the early hours of April 14th, Fulani militants launched a coordinated assault on Christian communities in Plateau State, Nigeria, primarily targeting the village of Zike in the Basa local government area near Jos. This incident was part of a broader wave of violence in the region during Holy Week, targeting Christians as they prepare to celebrate one of the most holy, important feasts in our church. In my own diocese of Makurdi, you are all familiar with the massacres of Saturday, 13th June in Yelewata, where 278 persons, men, women, and children were killed in a manner too gory to describe here by people shouting Allah Akbar, while slaughtering their victims. It took the prayers of the Holy Father Pope Leo XIV on Sunday, June 14th, for the government in Nigeria to even acknowledge this evil. Even so, the federal government still seeks to downplay the numbers and has yet to properly care for the survivors, even as I speak. Adoptions of clergy and laity remain rampant. Priests and pastors are prime targets for elimination. On 17th November 2025, Another priest from Kaduna Archdiocese was kidnapped while his brother was shot dead and others taken into captivity. On the same day, a school was attacked in Kebbi State with many kidnapped, and the vice principal of the school was killed. Reports are also rife of the capture of a brigadier general of the Nigerian army with some army officers and soldiers by the Islamists. This is the daily experience of many Christians in Nigeria. Violence is spreading southward, displacing millions and destroying farmland, creating a humanitarian crisis compounded by food insecurity. Attacks by Fulani militants, Boko Haram, Islamic State of West African province, ISWAP, have intensified not only in the Middle Belt and northern states, but spreading southward and targeting Christian communities with impunity. We hoped the CPC designation by President Trump at the end of October might stabilize the situation, but instead it is deteriorating into one of the most later periods of for Nigerian Christians in recent memory. Like it is now commonly acknowledged, Nigeria remains the deadliest place on earth to be a Christian. More believers are killed there annually than in the rest of the world combined. Yet, perpetrators face little accountability, and the Nigerian government's response since the CPC designation is to unleash vain glory speakers and willing tools to spin the narrative and make false equivalencies about Muslim deaths. But I would like to ask the question here, who is killing the Muslims up north? Is there any Christian militia displacing millions and occupying lands in Nigeria? The government of Nigeria's silence and refusal to engage in the face of continued killings and displacements have the...
Now you listen to that, right? Just that same story. What they do almost every day is to add the new victims to the list every day. And for years, they have been using every possible medium to call for help. Catholics in Nigeria, they are affiliated to Rome. Remember that, with the Pope, Abi. So they have pushed and pushed until it is finally kind of like a paying off. Tinubu's government, or APC generally, they wouldn't want such truth to go mainstream in Nigeria. Okay? How do you tell the rest of Nigerians, when I say the rest now, I'm talking about maybe the southern part of Nigeria, that it was because Nigerian government neglected the killings of Christians up north and downplayed the death as well. So because of this, these Christians have now used their international links and all of that to make the American government act. That's the truth. In all the hearing about the killings going on in Nigeria, yeah, you've had all different victims, groups. The accusations against Nigeria by the delegates of the IPOB to all these hearings last year was to remind the US Congress then that the whistleblower, the person that blew the whistle on the potential terrorism that the Fulani terrorists will bring upon Nigeria, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, has been convicted illegally and locked up in a prison, in a life imprisonment, while they have done everything to sabotage his own legal process as well. And they also reminded the American Congress that with the way Nigeria has become, a two-state solution might be the way out, where the Islamists in Nigeria should go and have their own country, a country where they can have their Sharia, do whatever they want to do, rather than try to export this barbarism, this terrorism to other parts of Nigeria and force them that except they accept, then they would have to give up their lands and their lives. But the killings up north, which is actually the main drive of the US action, the ISWAPs and the rest, the main champion, the main advocate for that are completely ignored because it won't sell in a divided Nigeria. No thanks to the APC. They have been struggling to convince their, their lackeys, their supposed mumus in that contraption, and outside as well, that the reason why Nigeria is redesignated as a country of particular concern was simply because of the IPOB. But this man is not an IPOB, and they are at the forefront of what happened. Here, complete it, Bishop Anagbe.
The of continued killings and displacements has deepened feelings of abandonment among the people. The national leadership appears disengaged, treating the Christian genocide reports as a non-issue instead of considering it a national emergency. This lack of political will undermines trust in government institutions and fuels perceptions of complicity or indifference. Mr. Chairman, honorable members, allow me to briefly mention another point so close to my heart, the humanitarian and social impact of this genocide. In the Middle Belt alone, millions of internally displaced persons remain in camps, unable to return to their ancestral lands. This threatens cultural continuity, religious and economic survival. The psychological trauma of survivors of these attacks is immense, with little access to counseling or rehabilitation. Widows, orphans, and survivors face ongoing threats. Girls and women endure sexual violence as a weapon. So many others resort to unsafe coping mechanisms for daily sustenance, destroying families, guarantees that no more Christian will be born from so many traumatized women. This is one of the elements of genocide, securing the disappearance of a group by longer-term measures other than murder. Without quick intervention, Christianity risks elimination in parts of northern and middle belt Nigeria within a very short time. Let me put it on record here that on behalf of millions of Christians in Nigeria and in the diaspora, we want to thank President Donald J. Trump for his bold leadership in designating Nigeria as a CPC. I commend you, Mr. Chris Smith, and this subcommittee's ongoing leadership and the recent U.S. designation of Nigeria as a country of particular concern. It is a vital step, but must be backed by serious action. 1. Using the Magnitsky Act for targeted sanctions on Nigerian government officials and others tolerating or condoning Islamic violence in the country. Tie security and other development or humanitarian aid to measurable protection improvements. Expand humanitarian support for IDPs. The IDPs must return to their ancestral homes and lands with security guarantees by the Nigerian government. They must also be supported to rebuild their economic livelihoods and enjoy basic services such as education and sanitation. Support bills like the Nigerian Religious Freedom Accountability Act to hold perpetrators accountable. This point cannot be overemphasized because it is impunity that fuels the violence we suffer. Irrespective of who are being killed, the prime question is, are there killings in Nigeria? And the government should stop it. International advocacy, work with allies to praise Nigeria at the UN and ensure discriminatory laws and blasphemy laws are eradicated or expunged from the Constitution. Closing call to action. The CPC designation has brought immense joy, hope, and spiritual resilience to communities under siege in Nigeria. The Christian faith-based organizations remain among the few sources of relief and encouragement, filling the vacuum left by government inaction. However, the church alone cannot stop the killings. It requires coordinated political, military, and humanitarian intervention. Mr. Chairman and members, the blood of Nigerian Christians cries out to you people. We cannot afford to wait any longer. Renew hearings, pass binding legislations, and use every tool of U.S. influence to demand change. America remains the only country in the world with an International Religious Freedom Act, America has a unique role in defending religious freedom globally. Please enact concrete actions according to the CPC designation. We all know that inaction emboldens the extremists even more. Of continued killings.
Now, just so you understand, okay, they were not only asking America to intervene, they actually had lists of expectations, what they wanted America to do. And guess what? If you have not been following, then this may probably be new to you. They have had their demands listed for more than 5 years. At a point, El Rufai, while they were killing people in southern Kaduna, El Rufai was busy blackmailing these Christian leaders in Kaduna. According to him, they are all burning down their churches, making videos so that they could collect donations in dollars, right? In order to also deny the killings in southern Kaduna, the mass killings there. So you guys, so they have always said the sponsor of the terrorists, those who are enabling them, those who are harming them, they are politicians. And the only way America could actually help is to go after the sponsors, including public office holders, okay, by placing sanctions on them. Do you get that now? Force the hand of the government of Nigeria to actually end the terrorism. The terrorism is not ending if the victims are not returned back to their homes. So those people living in IDP camps across northern Nigeria, they have, all of them, every single of them, they have to return back to their ancestral lands. That is when you can then say, oh, the government of Nigeria is doing well. Oh. Yeah. Now they have relocated, they have returned more than 5 million internally displaced Nigerians, Nigerian refugees. So they have returned them back to their ancestral lands. They have started rebuilding all these communities and they are safe. You know, that is not true. And with the redesignation of Nigeria as a country of particular concern, as well as if the government of Nigeria is found wanting, or government officials of Nigeria, or those holding different government positions are found wanting to be enabling the terrorists, that is the next sanction. And these bodies have been demanding for it. There are famous faces behind what actually more or less like dictated what Donald Trump announced, okay? You look at all these faces. You have Reverend Akomo. You have a Frank there. You have this man, Bishop Anagbe, who is on the right. He's the Archbishop of, I think it's a Makodi Diocese. He's of the Catholic flock. These are, oh yeah, you remember that guy on the top left? Morgan, so what is his name again? P.S. Morgan, rather. Yeah, he was the one who interviewed Nigeria's foreign affairs minister. And the foreign affairs minister couldn't actually give any reliable data on the killings in Nigeria. The minister who was sent to go and speak about the killings in Nigeria, to go and deny the genocide at the time. Now, the Christian body that actually helped expose or pressured what America is now doing, right? They are not even featured in the New York Times to say, oh, they are intel. Okay, maybe we should leave the Christians also. The Christian body that pressured or, petitioned the European Union, the European Parliament, the American Congress, the government of America, and the White House, because they have been sending all this, calling on the world to help. Because Nigeria's inaction, the Nigerian government's inaction, continue to cost lives of the innocent people. Like the bishop asked, if there are other people being killed in Nigeria, who is killing them? So who gave them the intel? The government of Nigeria also came out, right? And they said the strike against the terrorists in Sokoto was their own intel given to America, that they worked with America. All those things you saw, right? It was after Tinubu gave the order. But that's also not going to sell. With the $9 million lobbyist bribe, they will spin anything. That's why a screwdriver trader in Onitsha is what a New York Times reporter is telling millions of people and the rest of the world is the one that gave Donald Trump the intel to go and strike Sokoto. This is the Minister of Defense 3 days after the strike.
Good evening, gentlemen of the press. The federal government of Nigeria, in close coordination with the government of the United States of America, has successfully conducted precision strike operations against 2 major Islamic State ISIS terrorist enclaves located within the Bauni axis of Tangaza local government area of Sokoto State. Intelligence confirmed that these locations were being used as assembly and staging grounds by foreign ISIS elements infiltrating Nigeria from the Sahel region in collaboration with local affiliates to plan and execute large-scale terrorist attacks within Nigerian territory. The precision strike operations were executed between 12 midnight and 1:30 a.m. on Friday, December 26, 2025, following explicit approval by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR. The operation was carried out under established command and control structures with the full involvement of the Armed Forces of Nigeria under the supervision of the Honorable Ministers of Defense and Foreign Affairs, as well as the Chief of Defense Staff. The strikes were launched from maritime platforms domiciled in the Gulf of Guinea after extensive intelligence gathering, operational planning, and reconnaissance. A total of 16 GPS-guided precision munitions were deployed using MQ-9 Reaper unmanned aerial platforms, successfully neutralizing the targeted ISIS elements attempting to penetrate Nigeria from the Sahel corridor. During the course of the operation, debris from expended munitions fell in Jabo, Tambuwa local government area of Sokoto State, and in Ofa, Kwara State, near the premises of a hotel. No civilian casualties were recorded in either location, and relevant authorities promptly secured the affected areas. The federal government of Nigeria reiterates its unwavering resolve to confront, degrade, and eliminate terrorist threats, particularly those posed by transnational extremist networks seeking to undermine Nigeria's sovereignty and security. Nigeria remains fully aligned with its strategic partners and friends of Nigeria in executing coordinated actions aimed at ensuring lasting peace, border security, and regional stability. The federal government of Nigeria assures all Nigerians that it remains firmly in control of the national security architecture and is fully committed to the protection of lives and property. Citizens are urged to remain calm and vigilant as decisive actions continue against all terrorist groups threatening the nation. Good evening, gentlemen of the press. The federal government
So that was the supposed minister of information also told over 200 million Nigerians then that they hear the intel. But no, the cable that copied the report of the New York Times decided to tell a different story. And according to them, it was this Mr. Emeka Umeagbalasi, a screwdriver trader in Onitsha, Anambra State, specifically Anambra State, to launch airstrike in Nigeria according to a report. So, in their report, they said, oh, hang on, this is Trump's part. I want to go to what they said that their report said about Mr. Emeka. So, according to the report, founder of the International Society for Civil Liberties and Rule of Law, otherwise called Inter-Society, is an unlikely source of research that US Republican lawmakers have used to promote the misleading idea that Christians are being singled out for slaughter in Nigeria. Do you see this? Why Donald Trump says you can never trust the media? See that spin there? They said it was the research done by Mr. Emeka that Donald Trump relied on, because it is what the US Republican lawmakers are using to push the Christian genocide narrative in Nigeria. They said Umeagbalasi, alongside his wife, run the non-governmental organization from their home. The report said, they won't show you any report, though. They said the report said US lawmakers Riley Moore and Ted Cruz, whom Trump had asked to probe the Christian genocide claims in Nigeria alongside Congressman Chris Smith of New Jersey, have all cited his work. So they said it's an assumption. They said Umeagbalasi was quoted as saying he has documented 125,000 Christians' death in Nigeria since 2009, based on research from Google searches, Nigeria media reports, secondary sources, and advocacy groups like Open Doors, a Christian organization whose data Trump has cited. Now let me show you the Open Doors. These are guys who have been in Nigeria, especially like in Nigeria, purposely, because of these killings going on in Nigeria. They have been in Nigeria since 2009. And if you calculate that, that should be about 17 years. Is it? It should be, right? And there are reports which are based on the survivors' experience. This reporter also, who mentioned Riley, didn't say Riley and others also visited Nigeria, in which they met with the victims, recorded their statements. The one they met, like they saw with their eyes, it wasn't said. So they said, oh, it was just this Facebook research. That was the reason why Donald Trump decided to go and bomb the terrorists in northern Nigeria. Watch this.
So we set on a trek. We've hired every troublemaking journalist in Nigeria that comes across our path. These are journalists who've been jailed. They've been beat up by the Nigerian government for telling the truth. And I say, oh, these are guys after my own heart. Let's get them some work, because many of these journalists had been trying very, very hard to get their stories into the mainstream media. They've been pitching stories, and Doug has been a big witness of that, where for every 30 stories pitched, somebody might pick one up somewhere. Because they'd rather just reprint the piece that Al Jazeera put out, than CNN and AP and the rest of the mainstream media picked up. That's why people haven't been aware of what's going on in Nigeria, because it's been covered up by the mainstream media and covered up by Nigeria and Al Jazeera. Obviously, I'm not a fan of Al Jazeera. So we took it upon ourselves. Doug, how many articles have we done since we started?
Oh, well, 3,000.
We've written 3,000 articles about Nigeria since 2023, since we launched our project. And we became a very trusted source by many of the locals, by people, and we turned our journalism into action. And people began to realize Truth Nigeria is actually telling the truth, so we can trust them with information. And so we've been able to issue, again, over 125 terror alerts with 90% accuracy. And in every case, the Nigerian government did nothing with advance warning of attacks. They knew well in advance. Local police, military command, were all notified. All our alerts go up on Twitter. They go up on Facebook. They go through the WhatsApp chain, through Nigerian contacts, goes to the military, police, nothing. No interaction with notice. So that only proves one point. Government complicity. 100% government complicity. So as we're getting more and more information, and as we get more articles, we're getting more data, the data still is not accurate enough, and we are trying to correct that. We are trying to get the data, get very accurate data and reliable data. Now the Nigerian government, working through now American lobby firm, DCI, spending $9 million in 6 months to really what it means is combat our narrative. To combat the narrative that there's no genocide in Nigeria. And they're twisting the words as we're going to help Christians. That's why Nigerian government's paying us $9 million to help Christians in Nigeria, which is complete baloney. Now, what happened on Christmas? We sent missiles into Nigeria to attack the ISIS-affiliated group. Now, for those of you that don't know, I'm going to break this out because there's a lot of confusion, and those in the media, those that are here, let's just get this clear and you have a full understanding. You have three major terrorist elements in Nigeria. You have the ISIS faction, which are the Lokorowa tribe, which is the smallest of the three. You have the Fulani, which are the largest of the three, committing genocide and terror. And then you have Boko Haram, which is ranked number 2 as far as the killing of Christians. But the number 1 killer of Christians in Nigeria are the Fulani ethnic militia. Fulani ethnic militia. The people that we blew up on Christmas are the enemy of Boko Haram. They're the enemy of the Fulani. We did the Fulani and Boko Haram a favor. And they're only responsible for killing a tiny, tiny, tiny portion of Christians. But what does the Nigerian government say? It's like, look, U.S. government, we helped give you terrorists. Well, they gave them the people that they don't like. They gave them the information and cooperated with the U.S. government for the people that they don't like, while completely ignoring the Fulani ethnic militia, the ones that are actually doing the killing of Christians across Nigeria. We have to get this narrative right. Those of you in the room that know the truth, that know what's going on, we need to be working together because now we are fighting against a $9 million slush fund to fight us and fight our narrative. That means they're going to be going after conservative media. They're going to be going after Republicans. They're going to be going after people that are, I would consider, on our side of the fence to change the narrative and to change the focus and get the focus off of the Fulani because they don't want that being said. They don't want the focus going.
In the film, if we are all being honest, that analysis there is quite really straightforward. You have the ISWAP, you have the Boko Haram, the biggest terror, displacing people at never seen before rates in my life is the Fulani terrorists. When you go to Niger State, the Fulani terrorists. When you go to Kwara State, Fulani terrorist. When you go to Benue, Fulani terrorist. You go to Plateau State, Fulani terrorist. If you go to Kogi State, Fulani terrorist. If you go to Enugu State, Fulani terrorist. If you go as far as Bayelsa, Fulani terrorist, and you're like, what the heck is going on? There are those who are busy killing, kidnappings as usual. This was just 2 days ago, by the way, and it was in Kwara State, negotiating for somebody. Like, how could they be kidnapping people in this remotest of the remotest areas, the poor people, and then start demanding for millions, hundreds of millions of naira as ransoms? How is that even, possible? It is because the government is doing everything. For those of you who have been paying attention, the government of Nigeria, since APC, Egbekegbe came in and opened doors for these Fulani terrorists, terrorizing everybody, they decided to sort of like criminalize what I just said. You can't say Fulani terrorist in Nigeria. If you say that on their national TV, the DSS will come and grab you, because it is like they are like sacred. You can't just say it. You can't offend them. You can't make them uncomfortable. That kind of arrangement, to the point that the government of Nigeria established a ministry for Fulani terrorists to pacify them. So I can't say it in Nigeria and say Fulani terrorists. I'll be arrested. I have to call them bandits. So yeah, they are doing everything to keep them protected, while they are actually the main major threats to everyone in this sense. Yeah? But here, I will let him finish.
We compiled data from within Truth Nigeria. We compiled data from several sources, and we have launched what we call the Nigeria Terror Tracker. And this is an interactive map that shows you who did the killing, where the killing happened, geolocated, and information about each and every attack. So I'm just going to pop it up on the screen here, and we call it nttmap.org. Very original name, Nigeria Terror Tracker Map.org, nttmap.org. And this is a work in progress, but right now what we have in the system is every attack that has occurred in Nigeria for the last 5 years, and who did it, documenting over 50,000 casualties. We'll go to the map. So you can sort out the map here. You can go by local government area, you can go by the state, you can go by the date. Every one of these attacks is geolocated. Now if I go click on a dot, it'll give you information about every attack. But here's the thing, I can go over here, I'll take out the red. The red right now is combined of Boko Haram and ISWAP. We are going to be separating that and doing Boko Haram only and ISIS of West Africa only. That's going to be separated here within the next month, and that'll be documented. But Trump went after, I'd say, a small portion of the red, which was the ISIS. Let's take them out for a second. Okay? Let's take out other non-actors. All right, we'll take out state actors, security forces. Look at the green, guys. The green are the Fulani attacks. And everywhere they've attacked in the last 5 years, which accounts for the vast majority of all the killings in the last 5 years. The data doesn't lie. And this is a clear picture of what needs to be dealt with. So the U.S. government, if we're going to take this seriously, if we really care about persecuted Christians, the Fulani need to be dealt with. The Fulani ethnic militia. Boko Haram still needs to be dealt with. ISIS needs to be dealt with. But if we're ignoring the Fulani, we are doing a disservice to the Nigerian people, and there will be more slaughter. So the American media thought, guess what? Trump bombed Nigeria. Problem solved. Persecution ended. How many of you here know how many Christians have died since Christmas? I know you guys are smart. And Doug, you know, 130 Christians have died since Christmas. The killing hasn't stopped. The Fulani are doing business as usual. So right now, the Nigerian government, $9 million to an American Republican firm that people kind of associate them with called DCI. Roger Stone, known association of President Trump, I guess helped put together the deal. Folks, when I first started this project, and I started working in Nigeria, I thought once the world knew that all these innocent Christians and people were being massacred and killed, that people would just naturally do the right thing and want to come to their rescue. Right? Especially people on what I consider on the conservative and the Republican side of the fence. It's a no-brainer. No, what are we dealing with? We're dealing with people that are in complete denial, that are getting paid to deny the genocide. And now there's $9 million being shoved into the Republican conservative organizations in front by this lobbying firm that are going to pay people to change the narrative. So what I'm asking all of you here is, if you know people in the media, you have friends in the media, you have former congressmen or senator friends of yours that are lobbyists, you need to go to them and say, if you take the Judas money and you start trying to change this narrative, we're going to hold you accountable. We are not going to let you get away with this. We're not going to let paid, pay-for-play conservative commentators take the Judas money and the blood money and lay cover for the killing of Christians. It's not going to happen on my watch. And I'm going to go to war with DCI with what very little I have and what connections I have. We're not going to let this happen. The fraud is going to get exposed. I'm tired of this, guys. We should all be doing the right thing together and coming to the aid of the innocent, of the defenseless, and saving lives instead of playing these stupid political games. For the love of God, we can do better than this, folks.
I'm highly disappointed of Nigerian government because the Nigerian government were highly disappointed in them due to foreseen circumstances. Definitely, I'm one of those people approving people should die in coronavirus is more better than people should die in hungers. Hunger kills more than coronavirus because some people are less privileged. Due to circumstances that I said it, some people are less privileged, which they are based on daily pay, which are not even based on salaries. But our government thinks that the lockdown is the best solution to coronavirus, and proving it to an extent and to the levels of alacrity that if someone die in coronavirus, it's more efficient to die in hunger, because some people will be at indoor. There's no a way to make our own life.
There's no way to make our own now, yeah. The media changing the narrative because the $9 million is expected to push some sort of like files. You're going to see people who are going to be talking about Nigeria, writing all these junk writers will be writing. They will just be like sprouting up here and there to try to downplay, because that's what they have been doing anyway. So yeah, this time around, being paid to do it, okay, is expected to be so effective. But did they give them scripts? Like the scripts to try to find a way and pin it on the Igbos? Do you get what I mean? The government said they could supply the information. The Christian bodies who are survivors of the attacks themselves said, well, they are happy that the government of America listened to them. But somehow, a New York Times writer, who is also a British, by the way, I think I got her name earlier, the original writer of the third publication, where they wanted us to know that the intel used by the American government to strike the terrorists in Sokoto on the Boxing Day 2025. Her name is Ruth McLean. That's her name. So she writes, she says she resides in Onitsha, and she wrote it from Onitsha, southeast Nigeria, where he interviewed this Emeka, and where she interviewed rather this Emeka, and then she published that as a report that Donald Trump's action was based on the Google search by one Mr. Emeka, who is a screwdriver trader in Onitsha. Riley.
Many of us know Nigeria is the most dangerous country in the world to be a Christian. It's the most dangerous place in the world to profess your faith in our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And my colleagues and I will soon, this month, we're going to brief the White House on our investigation's findings and provide the president with a series of options to help protect our brothers and sisters in Christ. I'm grateful for President Trump's steadfast leadership on this issue, and I look forward to continue to work with him to defend the persecuted. And I'll close with this thought, and this is just the way I feel about these issues. Look, the United States is a Christian nation. It is. The United States is a Christian nation that's founded on Christian principles. We have a unique duty to defend Christians wherever they are being persecuted, and I will never stop fighting for our persecuted brothers and sisters in Christ. Many of us know Nigeria.
So from their visit, from their own report, they are now saying just a few days ago, I shared with you when another congressional subcommittee on foreign affairs hearing was up, and it is about these killings in Nigeria as well. And they also concluded that they would be, meeting with the President of the United States of America, President Trump, to ensure that a further action, what we actually don't know what they will be. So this time it is going to be the battle of what the $9 million can do in helping to ensure that Donald Trump doesn't take any further action Because the effort of Nigerian government is actually not to end the killings in that sense. For them, it is to try to stop the embarrassing, posture, the embarrassing picture that the U.S. government's action against the terrorists in Nigeria seems to look like. The outlook is what they are trying to prevent. Because according to them, Nigeria, that big country, can look so weak and so helpless. But they've got money. The money to change the narrative, not the money to really end the problem. So now they are reporting the Nigerian military have been at the Nigerian Air Force bombing some of these terrorist locations. Again, the real terrorists, the Fulani terrorists, they are the ones who have entered the nooks and crannies of the country, and they have turned the entire country upside down when it comes to these kidnappings, ransom. As far as Edo State, within concern Fulanis and the Edo people, they don't share any border. They have no border shared together, but because they are part of this Nigeria, right? So the people of Edo State are paying ransoms to terrorists as well, and almost all over the country. So it is not what America wants to do. It is what the government of Nigeria is refusing to do. They said it's because of politics, which has brought nothing but misery right from 1914 amalgamation, right? Elder Ayo Padokun.
The story of the country called Nigeria, first of all, I put this for the often time. Nigeria is a creation of the gun. If gun was not discovered by the Chinese between the 9th and the 12th century, and after it got into the Middle East and Europe in the 13th to the 15th century, and the Europeans then developed inordinate ambition for colonialism and then discovered North America, Asian countries, and Africa. And they came with the superiority of their gunpowder to ravage, to ridicule, to tyrannize, to blackmail, to kill, and then eliminate Nigerian natives, over 350 ethnic nationalities. So the gun had been here. It was through the superiority of the gunpowder that the place they amalgamated in 1914 was created. That is the first thing. The second is that the military could only tolerate civilian administration, which was working relatively reasonably. Between 1960 and 1966, they could only tolerate the civilian administration for just 5 years plus. And since they intervened at their first coming, they spent 13 years. In their second coming, they spent 15 years. So in military uniform, they spent 28 years. And when we, the activists, put pressure on them to force them to go to the barracks, they imposed their former military commander-in-chief upon us in the name of General Obasanjo, who spent 8 years, and General Buhari, who spent another 8 years. 8 years plus 8 years, 16 years plus 28 means 44 years. And I just remind Nigerians again that when the army took over on 15th of January 1966, Alhaji Aliyu Shehu Shagari was the Minister of Works. But it was unto him they handed over power in 1979. General Obasanjo knew that President Umaru Yar'Adua was challenged medically. Yet, he forced him on the country and brought a relatively innocent person who was just coming from the classroom and trying to govern a Bayelsa state to come and be his running mate. Right. So that is to say that Even the civilians who are in the integragnum were chosen by the military.
Okay,
And
well,
for about 13 years.
Right.
13 plus 44 with 57 years out of 66 years post-independence of Nigeria. The story of the
bottom line, Shai, is that they have a name for the last part. It is called democracy. The democracy where election doesn't really count, where people have no real power other than what is decided by those in power. They say people's power is bigger or stronger than the people in power, not in Nigeria, or maybe not even in Uganda. Let's go to Uganda. I'll show you something, right? They had their own presidential election yesterday. Prior to that, it's been almost like a war to campaign against Museveni. Yoweri Museveni, is the former military guy that took over power in a coup in 1986. I was just about 18 or 20 months old baby when he took over power in 1986. And this was like 40 years ago, right? So Museveni has then managed to stay in power all this while. So they had an election yesterday against a young contender, popularly known as a Bobby Wine. So usually it is only in Uganda. I haven't seen it elsewhere per se. Okay, it's only in Uganda that I've seen somebody who is the main presidential opposition. Okay, sorry. In the presidential election, the main opposition, right, will be treated like he's just a common riders, a chairman, sort of. But this is the guy who is seen as the major opposition to the old man. But the old man believes that he is probably like a choosing in a way, you know, that there is no one else that can actually really rule Uganda or probably loves Uganda the way he does. So he is a full-time dictator. So they have their own Gen Z who have been using the social media lately to mobilize and trying to challenge the status quo. And they did try to. Okay, so I'm going to show you a few things leading to their election, their elections, and the aftermath of their election. And this is what democracy looked like, at least in one of the African countries too, that is captured on camera. When the election was ongoing, the government, like in Nigeria, right, they didn't switch off the election results platform. They switched off the internet of the entire country, or almost the entire country. They shut down the internet for some hours until when everything was done, ready and sorted, and then the results started coming up. Man, there's no difference in the way they run this. This is why they say democracy sometimes, maybe democracy is not even for Africa. When the Sky News met with Museveni just a few days before the elections, right? And it was asked, you know, that why is he still running? You know, like the young people probably want change, they want something different and all that. His answer was like, why won't they want him?
If I'm available, not dead, not senile, but I'm still around, and I have some knowledge. If you are really serious about your country, why would you not want to take advantage of me if I'm still able?
I mean, what do you think of the young people who do want change, who want someone else to govern? Do you think that that's not sensible? That was what you wanted as a rebel leader.
No, me, I did not. I was actually dying to work with old people because we needed them. Unless you are not serious, these problems are big problems. And if you have got a big problem, the more hands, the better.
Youth unemployment, it's still very high. And young people feel like they need more opportunities. And when an internet shutdown happens, they feel repressed, they feel silenced because the internet is a tool of the youth. What are you offering them substantially over the next 5 years?
We are the ones who built the internet, the one you are talking about. We are the ones who built it. So the shutting down is because of dealing with criminals who want to use that infrastructure to destabilize our country. It is temporary, it is short term, but we're the ones who built the internet.
Do you believe there hasn't been a single candidate that could take your place in the last 6 election cycles?
They cannot, they would have been elected if they were there. They were not elected.
I mean, every election since 1996 has been marred by accusations of rigging, of repression, of crushing opposition and voices of dissent.
The only people who rig are the opposition. It is not us.
Then they would have won if they'd rigged it.
They are not able to, because we are so popular, that even if they rig, they can't manage to overturn or defeat us. We are so popular.
President Museveni, I want to ask you about your main contender, Bobi Wine. Your government has targeted him quite aggressively since 2018. Why? What threat does he pose to Uganda?
Bobi Wine breaks the law. That's why there are other people in opposition. You don't find having problems with them. But if you take each case, you'll find that he's breaking the law.
But why the violence? Why the violence from your security forces?
It is Bobi Wine who is violent.
I mean, his supporters have been beaten with batons. One has been shot in the head.
The beating was a mistake, but the Bobi Wine, you see, these towns here are quite crowded. So we don't encourage processions or rallies in the towns, on the streets.
You've ruled Uganda for half your life. Are you planning to rule for the rest of your life?
Yes. You know, so that is the strong man of Uganda, Yoweri Museveni, a man that is believed not to actually speak. And, something like the way they speak as well, all right? They were speaking to me, they were asking one of his own aides, they were asking him of why the internet got shut down. Like, that's crazy. So Museveni believes, okay, that there are some external interests that have been trying to work with the opposition in taking over Uganda and Uganda to the West. So he's managed to build an anti-West in that sentiment. So if you are opposing Museveni, you are considered as a stooge of the West, probably being sponsored by the West. So it's kind of like the easy line of their argument. So they were asking one of his aides, why would they turn off the internet in the whole country? Simply because they didn't want anybody from outside to know what is going on. Because if they had allowed it, possibly maybe the reactions to the rigging, the suppression and all of that stuff, which most of them are captured on cameras, they were not uploaded immediately then, until after the elections, and then they turned back the internet back on. We started now uploading what transpired, but then it's too late. Museveni said they were planning to replicate what happened in Kenya in his country. So his own prevention is to make sure that the Gen Z have no access to the internet, not during the election, not before, during, maybe after. So somebody who claimed to be the president's aide was asked, why did you turn off the internet? Do you want to know what he said? Like their president, right? Their president said, we built the internet, so which means it is owned by government. So if we turn it off, so are we not the one who built it and gave it to people? Kind of. In the UK, right? I don't know about the US. So in the UK, I've been at the European Union, it's been voted that having access to a very fast internet is a fundamental human right. Do you understand what that means, right? Like government must provide it. I don't know about Nigeria. I don't know about Uganda. When they asked this aide, he said, your parent didn't ask your mother, did your mother use the internet? So he said, the internet stopped working in Uganda during the elections because a ship broke the optic fiber cable at the Mombasa Sea. Like their president is quite hilarious.
You did talk about
regards to internet. Internet, initially UCC said they had switched off, probably for security reasons. But then the latest I'm getting from my friends in Mombasa, a ship was passing by, it hit an internet cable into two. So they are trying to locate the other piece to connect it.
Honorable, that is information we cannot justify right now, but because the EC, UCC did release a letter that all Ugandans are actually following right now.
That is okay.
Even if
internet will be reinstated. The person who brought internet is the person you have voted. That is one of the gains you have. Did you have internet in 1986? Did you have it? Did your mother tell you that they had internet? But it was the country not running.
But things are changing, Honorable. We are moving in a world that is digital.
It's just a matter of days, maybe 2 weeks or 1 week, or they are working, our technicians are working to restore it. Let us trust in the president. The one who brought it will restore it. He's working around the clock. Our technicians are working closely. So what UCC told you, they have a right to tell you, and the facts that we know, as people who work in that telecom sector, we know that the cable was affected. And they are restoring it, they are fixing it.
How do you justify this? Why does this happen in this electoral process?
The problem with you young people, you're wasting a lot of time on TikTok instead of listening to the message of the president. And those ones who have listened to the message of the president have voted him overwhelmingly. Can I tell you, the president won in Arua Central. He has never won in Arua Central. For all the times we have had elections in Uganda, he has never won in Arua Central. He's the winner of Arua Central. Arua, what we call Central Division. He's the one who won. So people are loving the president.
If you think it is only in Nigeria that you have people who are they will be intentionally like dumb. They are not dumb. It takes creativity to be a national fool, because to ensure that your own source of feeding remains sort of like intact. Abi, let's go on the national TV and tell them a ship cut internet cable into two. It cut internet cable into two. So our technician are fixing it. Our technicians are working and fixing it. Maybe a one week or 2 weeks, they will do it. Where was internet in 1986? Yeah, was the country not running? They quickly changed it to, oh, you have voted for the man that gave you internet. It's work around the clock to give you internet. Oh, Mr. President never won election. And that's how they behave. It takes a special skill. And they have them all over the place. Usually, right, these clowns are mostly limited to their countries, but with the internet, you young people, you don't listen to the president. You spend too much time on TikTok. You don't listen to president because president said he's working to break the internet, and people have voted for him to bring internet. They bring internet in 1 or 2 weeks. They don't care if their action, because this is it, the winning formula. There's this guy from Zimbabwe. He's very famous. He's also participating in Nigeria election, your Tinubu's re-election. You're going to see more of him. He was in Abuja in December. This big, massive guy like that is from Zimbabwe. They said he's a specialist when it comes to this tech, rigging, true text, and the rest of that. And he's cashing out from different African industries. They told them, turn off the internet. But it's going to affect businesses. Forget about business. If businesses are going to lose, they will gain later. Turn off the internet so that you can control what is released and what is viewed. And that's exactly what happened. Then, because Bobby Wine himself is considered very much like an easy target, always is their target. So they said the day before the election, they had to get him to somewhere safe because he's been accused of violating the law when he was told not to be in the gathering of a certain number of people, where he's pretty much like violated it by bringing all his supporters to come out and support him. So they wanted to arrest him on the eve of election. So he had to run. And from his hiding, he released a video during the election.
Fellow Ugandans, my name is Chagulanyi Sentamo Robert, also known as Bobby Wine. Today is Saturday, the 17th of January 2026, and the time is 9 a.m. in the morning. My wife and I have been under house arrest since the 15th of January when we had elections. And yesterday, our house was raided by some police officers together with a number of other unknown individuals in plain clothes. They used ladders to climb over our fence. They cut off our electricity, they cut off our cameras, and they were being assisted by a helicopter that was hovering in the sky of our compound and providing them light as they were doing what they were doing. Amidst that raid, I was able to use my skills and escape my house. But I know they're looking for me. But even if they succeed and get me and do whatever, I want to say this to you, fellow Ugandans. First and foremost, we reject whatever is being declared by Mr. Byabakama, because those so-called results that they're declaring are fake and they don't in any way reflect what happened at the polling stations or what is at the declaration forms. And therefore, those results, the so-called results, are fake. After arresting almost all our agents, after ballot stuffing, and after shutting off the internet, the regime is trying to once again rig the elections. What happened in the polling station is a completely different story, and we demand that the internet be restored and the rightful declaration forms and tally sheets from the districts are uploaded on the internet so that the people of Uganda can see the rightful results in transparency. We also demand that they hold whatever declaration is going on until the internet is restored and until the people of Uganda can follow on the results in transparency. We are glad that there are protests, and we encourage the people of Uganda to resist any rigging and resist any effort of subduing their voice. We also want to call upon the media, which has deliberately ignored what is happening in the country. There are widespread protests across the country, and these widespread arrests, and people are being killed. For example, in Butambala, at the house of Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi, 10 people were shot and killed in one house by the police. In Waise, 4 people are being shot dead. In Mukono, 4 people were shot dead. In Machinge, we have information that 3 people were shot dead. And in Kayonga and Luero, we are yet to get the statistics of the people that have been killed and what exactly is happening. We want to firmly call upon the people of Uganda to reject these fake results that are being read at Ruboa by Mr. Byabakama and his Electoral Commission, and we want to call upon the people of Uganda to non-violently protest and reject any effort to subvert their voice and demand that the rightful results are announced. I thank you for God and my country. Fellow Uganda.
Museveni, Yoweri Museveni. Baba, their own type of elections in that country, no matter what you probably see of Nigeria's election, which is also violent, right? Where ballot stuffing, result falsification and all of that stuff happens, right? Well, initially, okay, I'm going to take you through their process, okay? And then I'm going to show you when they started putting their results together and how things just swap. And they said, no, this is AI. Some were supporting the Museveni because they believe he's the protector of their country. There are those who wanted to hijack the country for the West, and Museveni is the old last order in a sense, okay? So here, let's walk through their elections. And if you are watching from Nigeria, this is going to be very familiar. And this is Uganda.
Iyo mushahara bakwira zinga zo kwiza kure nyonga bakiriya nando ni kurombo mugwanya nini mbere ucyande bakiriya yo no kore cyawe
I'm supervising. My role is to make sure that the security here is
ID.
Yeah, you are you police officer, you what? Area
ID.
Commander in terms of what?
ID.
Trust ID.
Yes. Very simple.
When you say commander,
your ID, you don't national ID. Me try you can show you my national ID. Huh?
I'm saying.
Excuse me.
What's the problem?
Get them from whoever took them from you.
Chief, who took them away? On your order.
Honorable. And you contradict me yesterday.
But you see, you're the one who has
you
said.
said I took them.
Yes, on
and
your orders,
the same one saying I took they
yes,
took them.
on your orders. And that's why you're saying that they are not
Honorable.
supposed to have.
You see, Honorable, what is primary in this case is that the voters register that was issued by the Electoral Commission is the guiding tool in this whole process. And there is no doubt that we have the voters register.
And there's no doubt that
the other issue is that there has not been any issue to warrant this kind of confusion here. So
but see, when you take
I
away,
want to request you, Honorable, to proceed and guide your people to do what they are mandated to do.
Let's assume, because now you have already taken away their who, which is illegal, you.
And you contradicting yourself.
So now the agents
who took
are you able to look at the police? What are the EC?
Nani alitoa kwa who removed
who removed from you?
Who removed it from you?
Out here of us.
So okay, so here's the thing.
Who removed it from you?
Police. That is their fault.
Okay, so number two. Can these agents because they
Umbrella. Umbrella eba kyagulanyi.
Naye ada wuunzi fede tubira.
Umbrella.
Umbrella juu.
Erimu namba
Umbrella juu. Umbrella.
Mumunonye namba 3 weri okka.
Kecho. Ye mama. Eno shuwa wini. Ikale byabakama akyalinda okulangirira.
Andi jukira waliwo obudde bw'ekiro.
Umbrella juu.
Bagenda bubala kiro. Owulira bali bagamba nti baasi
Umbrella.
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 Could you see the country? Because I decided to, I love sharing the amateur videos of events rather than the already doctored, edited professional videos from the news media. That's the country that Museveni has ruled for 40 years. And then you know, one leader, one ruler, one party, one people, and all of that for 40 years. And it's still very much like Zamfara in Nigeria. I don't think Zamfara is even that like that. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah? Oh, yeah. So the man still want to be in power. So the effort to vote him out is completely rebuffed, because in Africa, it is not those who vote that matter. I hope you know that, right? But I think so. In Africa, it is those who count the votes that really mattered in that their elections in Africa. It is not always about the people. You can be very popular, this or that. Once the electoral body, which is given the power to decide who wins or who loses, once they make the announcement, the next thing is for you to go to court. Oppositions were targeted. Some of them were arrested in the middle of the night, and others have their own supporters killed in the course of Museveni wants to stay in power for another 5 years. What you thought about?
They will not have not election in 19.
And now this is a home name, ma'am. Maybe they're raiding us.
Can you come to someone to
That's not I want to raid everyone. Yeah. No. But if they wanted to, just know they've called already. Those people know by now. You can't tell me they've not called. No one has called them yet. They're circling around. But if they wanted to, they would have tear gassed to get us out of the house.
I want to send my gratitude to all our voters that took it upon their mantle to wait for the results demanded for them. And right now we declare that Mukono District, Mukono North, South, Municipality, Nachifuma, and the woman member of Parliament, we are all of the national unity.
So that one is a former SUG, sort of like a student union government president of their capital city university. So it's a former SUG president. They just won the seat in the parliament in this year election. So Bobby Wine is still very much in hiding. You know, if you want to see Museveni, like the Kolu of Nigeria, it's got its own elements too, talking about the Ugandans. You know, he said that Uganda is a place where even a fool can survive, whatever that means. It's got its own kind of like moment. some of them here.
I really wonder sometimes when I see Bobby Wine campaigning. He knows very well that he can not defeat me, but he keeps running up and down every time thinking Ugandans will vote for him. Ugandans loves me more than mangoes, and nobody can defeat me in any elections. You people from other parts of the world, you don't know these Ugandans. You don't know how complicated they are. Some of these people are spoiled by nature. Uganda is so nice. Even if you are a fool, you can survive here. In other parts of the world, if you are a fool, you die, and the matter is resolved. But here, people don't work. They just go and stay with I'm going to see my relatives. We'll see them what? Are they sick or what? He just goes and stays eating free things. Then after 3 months, then he goes to see other people. They're always doing that. When you look at South Sudanese, they are not black, they're actually blue. If you look at them carefully, they are blue. If you look at the South Sudanese carefully, it's not black, they're actually blue. So how can you call blue men Arabs? You must be sick.
Yoweri Museveni. And when he was declared winner by their own electoral commission, he said, number one, he never actually believes that Bobby Wine could defeat him because more than 10 million of his own voters or supporters didn't even come out this time. So he was declared to have won with, won by over 70% of the votes. And then they rolled out, instead of the country to be celebrating, like a country where more than 70% of the people voted for you. That should be a country in celebration and all of that, but nah. They rolled out the tanks, the military, the police were all ready to shoot down any gathering that is against the election. So he said this.
10 million of my people did not turn up. They would have been embarrassed badly. Because you see, we got 8 million votes about, but remember, we have got, when we reviewed the membership on the 6th of May, you remember we had 21 million members and 18 million of them are voters. The NUP people who were supposed to do that refused and came and met me. This is not the first time they met me, told me the whole story. Oh, okay, you go. And this is not the first time. The other year, when there were riots in Kenya, the same riots were supposed to happen here. But the people they wanted to use came and told me. And we diffused the. So therefore, I am advising this small group of traitors, but they are working with foreigners, some foreigners. 10 million of my people.
You get it now. So if you are against the man, you must be working with some foreigners, okay, to destabilize the country, and you'll be addressed, or sorry, you'll be treated as a traitor. So I saw a comment from somebody who possibly joined us late. I don't know. After reading the caption of the broadcast, that, in quote, the title that says, Trump used intel from Onitsha screwdriver trader. And then I don't know if you see the comment where somebody said he didn't expect Mayegun to be talking about this. So if you probably didn't get the reason why Mayegun had to talk about it, then maybe you should take your time to watch where you missed. I won't repeat that, all right? But you would appreciate why Mayegun decided to speak about it, okay? But here, let's leave the Ugandans and see how this plays out in the coming days or weeks. However, back in Nigeria, Paul returned last night. So he left Abu Dhabi yesterday and he got to Nigeria late night yesterday, where he is expected to address some of the waiting trouble like that of Wike versus Fubara. There were those who observed, he said that it's quite strange that Wike was in Abuja, but he did not follow the welcome party to go and welcome people back to Nigeria. And that sort of like, as usual, started fueling a speculation that the issue between himself and Fubara is likely going to be one of those addressed, and that could trigger a lot of things happening in the coming days as well. So, before you get to that one, okay, so Fubara himself was with the, I think it was the Polo Golf, what do they call them? The Polo Club event in Port Harcourt, where they are doing their grand finale. I think it was last night, where he was a guest and partially addressed the impeachment plot against him, just briefly though, right, where he said, well, I'm still here, I'm still the governor, and I believe I'm going to be here next year, probably like better than this, you know. So,
but what is important is I'm here, I'm still the governor of the United States, and we will continue to do what we have promised the Rivers people that we will do. And I'm really happy that you had your tournament for 1 week and the president boldly telling the world that there was no incident. It shows that we are working and Rivers State is safe. That is the most important thing. And that is the basic responsibility of government. I'm here for 2 reasons. The first, I want the president to understand that he's not the one that led me to attend this event. I'm here because of my late brother, Engineer Roland Tukika. Fortunately, the wife is here and the son. I did promise.
We shall stand on your mandate, on your mandate, on your mandate. We shall stand. We shall stand on your mandate, on your mandate, on your mandate. We shall stand.
So, again, right, we are just entering a new week, and therefore, there's probably so much to look forward to this year. I also eavesdropped that, I kind of heard that Malamu is making efforts to beg Tiknumbu, because you know that Malamu has been in detention for over a month now. Yeah, he's been in detention because he's a criminal, of course, and he believed that the reason why he is currently being tried for corruption, for terrorism. They found guns in his house, and he claimed those guns belonged to his son. But they are all like, they have expired licenses, gun licenses and all that. So they are holding all of that against him. They found 52 houses or 52 properties. That's how much property traced to him. All of them are currently being confiscated by the courts, so to say, right? Or forfeited. I think that's the right word. Forfeited, the court, temporary forfeiture. So he has about 41 bank accounts also linked to him, running into hundreds of billions of naira. So those have been confiscated as well, forfeited as well to the court. So in all of this, Malamu, who is also trying to be a governor of Kebbi State in 2027, spending so much on that, by the way. So he remained in detention because court granted him bail, himself, his son, and his wife. Unfortunately, they said the bail conditions have not been met, so he's been in detention since November. So right now, I don't hear him say he's sending people to Tiknobu that is ready to come back to APC and forfeit all of his position with the opposition. Now here are the year. Most of the time I hear all those things, and sometimes until they become relevant enough to present to you, that's when I bring them to you and say, okay, well, I've been hearing though. Anyway, in Kwara State, someone managed to record their own latest experience in the hands of the Fulani terrorists. Just kidnapped their mom and then discussing the ransom. But the usual, if you don't pay us that money, we want 25 million naira. If you don't pay it, that's the way the terrorists negotiate, especially in the Kogi, Kwara, Oyo, down the west of Nigeria. That's how they negotiate. We'll kill your mom this evening if you don't pay us this money. Now here.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Hello?
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 Omoya?
Yeah, Baba. Ekaro. Elo ni gangan ni ká wá gangan fún mu ti màmá wa.
Èló ni o ti sọ fún ọ̀gá, èló ni o ti sọ fún ọ̀gá, báwo ni o ṣe báyìí?
A ti rí 2.5 báyìí, 2.5 million.
2 million 5, ká kéde 2 million 5.
Èló ni ká.
Lónìí ga ẹ̀yàn pa mọ́ mi rè, ó pa mọ́ mi rè.
Èló ni ká wá gangan lé, èló ni ká wá.
Ó pa mọ́ mi rè lónìí.
Èló ni ká wá, èló. Hello. Hello? Hello?
20 million ni ó sọ lónìí, kò sí ọ̀rọ̀ kankan, 20 million. Tó bá ó fẹ́ mọ́ mi rẹ̀, tó bá kò ní fẹ́ pàdánù bí.
Hello?
Ó ti fẹ́ kò gbọ́ mi.
Mo gbọ́ yín, ẹ jọ̀ọ́ èló ni ká wá, owó yẹn. Hello?
Hello?
For 20 million. Only la pa mama re. So they are demanding for 20 million ransom. The young man said, they got 2.5 million out of that. But the terrorist was like, I will kill your mom today if you don't pay us. That's how they negotiate. Eventually, they may take 3 million naira or 5 million naira, or they will just kill the victim and still collect the money. Right? So that's the state of the contraption. So I have one more, but I'm going to keep it for another time because of time this evening. Okay, so thank you so much for your time on the for this evening. So please like the broadcast and share it for those of you who have not done that so far. So I'm going to see you another time. That another time is going to be tomorrow. Enjoy your new week, so to say, and have a great one too. It's going to be a good night.
làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ tó dòdòdò.
Mayegun diary na him be number one.
Mayegun làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ tó dòdòdò.
Mayegun diary na him be number one.
Mayegun ti dé o ọ̀rẹ́ ara ìlú.
Mayegun diary na him be number one.
Lórí Facebook lórí YouTube.
Mayegun diary na him be number one.
Gbogbo bó ṣe ń lọ ni Mayegun já wa sí.
Mayegun diary na him be number one.
Àṣírí ọ̀jẹ̀lú kì í bò níbẹ̀ o.
Mayegun diary na him be number one.
Bó bá ṣe eré àní Mayegun máa wí.
Mayegun diary na him be number one.
Ó sì tún ṣe eré wàá gbọ́ níbẹ̀ o.
Mayegun diary na him be number one.
Mayegun diary politico.
Mayegun diary na him be number one.
Godfatherism kò sí lọ́rọ̀ Mayegun.
Mayegun diary na him be number one.
Ẹ farabalẹ̀ sẹ́ o kẹgọ́rọ̀ lẹ́nu o.
Mayegun diary na him be number one.
Àní Mayegun làwa mọ̀ tó dòdòdò.
Mayegun diary na him be number one.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé. Mayegun ti dé.
Ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé.
Lórí Facebook.
Mayegun ti dé.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé.
Lórí YouTube.
Mayegun ti dé.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé.
Bọ́ bàbá gbé wúrẹ́.
Mayegun máa wí.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé.
Ijó ìgbádìyẹ.
Mayegun máa wí.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé.
Pẹ̀sìdó bá rúfin o.
Mayegun máa wí.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé.
Bí gómìnà kówó jẹ.
Mayegun máa wí.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé.
Ọlọ́pàá ti ń darí bá.
Mayegun máa wí.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé.
Aṣòfin ti ń rúfin o.
Mayegun máa wí.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé.
Òpùrọ́ olóṣèlú.
Mayegun máa wí.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé.
Ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Mayegun ti dé.
Mayegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Mayegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe èyí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe, ọmọ bá dèrò ní fi wọ́n níran o.
Mayegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Mayegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe èyí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe, ọmọ bá dèrò ní fi wọ́n níran.
Wọ́n fowó bẹ́ẹ̀ o, Mayegun ó sọ pé wọ́n ò bẹ́ẹ̀. Wọ́n fowó bẹ́ẹ̀, Mayegun ó sọ pé wọ́n ò bẹ́ẹ̀. Oníkan ṣáàtì ṣe èyí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe, fáwọn ará ìlú tó gbé wọn débẹ̀ o.
Mayegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Mayegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe, ọmọ bá dẹ́rọ̀ ò ní fi wọ́n níran.
Kì máa yí ṣe eré, ọ̀rọ̀ yìí kì í ṣe ẹ̀fẹ̀. Kì máa yí ṣe eré, ọ̀rọ̀ yìí kì í ṣe ẹ̀fẹ̀. Ẹni bá ti lè lẹ́bọ̀ lẹ́rù o, ọmọ bá dèrò kàṣàyè tú wọn síta.
Mayegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Mayegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Ṣùgbọ́n ní ṣùgbẹ́ni má ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe ọmọ bá dẹ́rọ̀ ò ní fi wọ́n níran.
tẹnitẹni ọmọ máyégún ọ̀rẹ́ ara ìlú mọ̀mọ́ ni mo fọlọ́hún sọ ẹ̀ bá kìlẹ́bù lóòótọ́ olódodo ìlú ọ̀tá ìlú mọ̀mọ́ ni ìwọ ṣá máa ń ṣọ́ra kò sì mọ́ bẹ̀rù bọ́tà ń lè rí bóníṣègùn lé káwọn mọ̀mọ́ fi ṣera wọn ni ó ti dẹrùn tí wọn ò gbọ́dọ̀ sì mọ́ bẹ̀. èèpo ọ̀bọ̀lọmọ bá dérò tàjẹ́ ò gbọ́dọ̀ jẹ́ ó ti dọba lórí abínú ẹni kò sì mọ́ fòyà àìsíwọ́lu ní ẹnìkẹ́ ìgbódì ẹyin lábàrá o ó kó ẹni tó bá dán wò á kàmù máyé ń ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀ tún ra kì Máyégún ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀ tún ra kì o ẹni bá ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe ọmọ bá dèrò òní fi wọ́n níran o.
Máyégún ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀ tún ra kì. Máyégún ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀ tún ra kì. Ṣùgbẹ́ni má ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe ọmọ bá dẹ́rọ̀ ò ní fi wọ́n níran.